Welcome back to Whimsical Farm. Today is going to be a day that we're using the old Weber again and a piece of nice Lodge iron that we bought from Walmart, iron griddle. So we got to have a little fuel for this cooking. The first thing we're going to do is grab a little bit of this beef tallow here. This beef tallow, we pulled off a bunch of bones. My wife was cooking down some bones to make some bone broth. Got a little bit of beef in there. That's not going to hurt a thing. And we're going to let that sit and begin to melt. Going to melt that right onto that. I've got a spatula here close by. And going to move that around. You know what? While that's right there handy, notice the fire. The fire is not just straight charcoal. We took some special oak from our yard. It's a hybrid oak, and we used that and blended it right in with the charcoal, and that saves you a whole bunch of money on your charcoal cost. So now we're going to move this over. This is the part where we're prepping the grill. Move this over a little bit and get it where it's not wanting to go, but it's going to go. Get that, put that fire right on the iron. And all we're doing right now is just kind of treating this griddle, getting him where he's coated good, because today what we're going to cook is 2 packages of deer meat. We got 2 packs of deer meat, and we also have 2 tenderloins. We're going to season them up kind of like you would a brisket with some good dry rub, and the meat we're just going to cook the packages of ground meat. We're going to cook them kind of like you would a meatloaf, but no bread, none of that stuff. Just leave it whole. Don't make it into patties. We're just going to leave it whole. I've run some warm water over it, got it where it's very well thawed out, and now I snapped it back in the freezer. Purpose behind that is get it where I can handle it good without it falling apart, and that way we can add the dry rub to it. So that's pretty much prepped. Let's move him back over, get him away. We're using this as an oven. So the purpose of this griddle, and I really have started to enjoy this, the purpose of having the griddle there is to kind of shield your meats that you're cooking, shield them from being just burnt to a crisp, and so that it kind of acts more like an oven. And I'm fighting with this thing a little bit, but this fight's almost over. It is so hot, I don't want to take no chances with burning myself down. So one more little wiggle, and we'll call that good. So that's all prepped up now. We've got putting this is not lard, this is beef tallow. I just decided to use it today so we can make that deer meat taste like it's beef. I like deer meat, but I like beef even better. So we're going to share a little flavor. A little au jus is there, a little bit of beef meat there, and that high quality tallow that we got from cooking down some nice beef bones to make beef broth. So we're going to call that fire good. We've got the bottom vent wide open. We do want to cook this like you're using an oven, so I'm going to run somewhere in about the 350 range. So put this lid on, and we're going to start off with that wide open, so that we're going to keep it wide open at first to let that wood chunk burn a little bit more and get them really good and engaged. Welcome back to Whimsical Farm, and I have made a small change out here. We are still keeping that nice flat grill on there. We kept our nice beef tallow. It's going to stay there, but I wanted to catch these initial juices that we're going to get. And what you're seeing there is 2 packages of ground deer meat. It's had a little beef added to it by the processor. And each pack's about 2 pounds. And then there's the nice tenderloin. The back strap has been cut into 2 strips, and they're on either side. And we're going to cook this to try to get a nice bark on it. I'll eventually put it on the flat iron, but I want to catch that initial juice, the au jus, the fats off of that. We'll pour that up and then slap it out to the hot iron and go from there. We're doing some experimenting here, so we're going to run it like Grandma would and run it like it's in an oven situation. And we're going to run it right at wide open throttle, so 350 to 400 degrees, and then we'll play with it after it gets a good internal temperature of about probably about 140, 150, and then we'll start flipping and flopping and browning it up good on that iron. So be back with you in just a few minutes. Over and out for now. Welcome back to Whimsical Farm. We are finishing up this today, and this is the easy part to do. We fought the fire and moved the iron around and chopped some wood and all that. Now we're getting ready to do some cut up of the meat. I do want to talk about this wood just a little bit before we get started. This is a new thing for me. I've always used charcoal or bump charcoal before, but the price of charcoal has got so high. We use Kingston, we use good quality charcoal. So I have now converted over. We bake this wood in our grill while we're cooking, or at the end of the cycle. We can put this in there right over the fire, shut the vents down, and basically make it into partial charcoal, or at least very dry oak. It's an oak from our yard. It's a hybrid. It's a little bit of red oak, white oak, pin oak, just all blended together. But here's what we do. About 10% of my fire in the beginning I make with the charcoal. You can squirt a little bit of alcohol mixed with grapeseed oil so you don't get that petroleum product smell. And that's a real good starter. Once the charcoal's started, you lay your wood on top, let that come to a complete flame. You'll see it in the video. But this gives you two things. It gives you lots and lots of steady heat, and it also gives you a nice smoke flavor, not quite as strong as here. So, here's what we have cooked. Go ahead and zoom into the wood. And, we have cooked some deer meat. We got the blessing of being able to buy some deer meat off of a friend. And see my wife's sister and them, they went shopping one day. And this is a package, just like if you went to the store and bought a package of hamburger meat. This is about a 2-pound package of deer meat. So that's deer meat that's been cooked. We cooked it on the grill, real hot, 350, 400 degrees. And then also turned it down and let it kind of slow cook. We went up to internal temperature of about 180 degrees. So there's those. That's 2 pounds and 2 pounds. Now you'll notice here we got ended up with lots of au jus. This is almost to the point of gravy. No flour. We are carnivore eaters, so we can eat lots of meat, lots of grease, lots of gravy, but no flour. Flour is the killer. Flour and sugar, we avoid that. No barbecue sauce with sugar. So we do use some spices. My spice, my dry rub is a combination spice. I use salt, pepper, garlic, onion, chipotle, some chili powder, and some cumin, and also some cracked red pepper. So it's a pretty complex flavor. A little bit of everything. And this is the tenderloin. I cooked it until it started to brown up just a little bit, but it is so lean. It's a back strap off of a deer. And I wanted this deer to kind of taste like beef, so this has been cooked with some beef tallow. Now these little back strap guys, I went ahead and wrapped them up like you would a brisket. And we're gonna have a look, see what these are gonna look like. Now they're not gonna have a dark bark on them, I don't think. They're gonna be pretty soft, and we're just hoping they'll be good and tender. Let these guys fall out of here. They got captured. I wrapped it up so good that nobody can even get them out. There's the flap right there. That should be very, very tender back straps. Let them keep falling out. Keep falling out. Put that right there. Clean up a little bit. Boy, that is really, really messy. So we want to cut some of this stuff up and see how tender it is. I can tell you already it's probably going to be tender. It's got a few little beef bits around it. And I'm going to cut that and put it right there on that tray. Use my special knife here. Alright, you don't have to worry about bones on this, because this is the best part of the deer, his back strap. And some hunters actually get that. I don't always take care of the rest, but that is pretty tender. Now, this, I guarantee you, the way the deer is, it just doesn't have any fat to it. So, here's the beauty of keeping your au jus. You can take this meat, as you cut it up, and put it on your plate right here. That's just almost dry. It's not dry, but it's not fatty. You can see there is no fat. There's no marble ring on that. So, take your au jus, grab the whole pan, and we're gonna make that swim in that au jus. Doesn't that look good? Now, as I cut that up, it will soak that back in. I'm gonna put this right here. We're balancing all kinds of stuff going on here. Maybe that'll stay right there. I'm gonna cut this all up into little buttons, little meat buttons. We'll go on this other end so I can control a little bit better. And I have a stack of dogs all around me. All right, we are cutting this up. We got some little pups all around and they are dreaming. Like I said, they're dreaming of being left in here completely unsupervised. That's not gonna happen. I need to taste a little piece of this deer meat, make sure that's gonna be edible. Let's see. That is very good. That is not no gamey meat. Now let me tell you the story about how we got this, without mentioning any names. We had a very good butcher that does beef. Put it up here. He does beef, and on the side, of course, in the wintertime, November, December hunts, they process deer. Well, he had 4 or 5 men that left maybe 2 deer, 3 deer a piece there. He'd already processed them. They're packaged, they're safe, they're hard frozen, ready to go, and they didn't come and pick them up. So my wife was down there to look the meat over and get some beef bones, and the guy mentioned the deer meat. So Lord bless us, an excellent deal on some nice deer meat. So let's look at this again. Here's these little, looks like little coins, little buttons of, I'd say beef, but it is not beef. That's just had dry rub put on it and cooked in a Weber barbecue grill. And it got cooked on hot, 350 degrees, until it started getting good and tender. We went up to a temperature internal of about 170, 180. And you can see now that, like I say, there is no fat in that. So it could get dry on you in a hurry, but we're not gonna let that happen. We've got our au jus there. We cook our own bone broth. We cook the fat off of the bones and collect it up. So we've got a really nice quality fat. Go ahead and put just another drop of that. Zoom in right there, see that's. Don't want it to be just swim in it, but we do want it to be where it's delicious. Each piece that you bite is going to be dry. Now, let's go ahead and switch over. I'm going to go ahead and get this last bit of meat here. We'll stick it on this plate. Just a little bit of beef towel and beef from the cow. Now, the next step is this is a 2-pound package of deer meat. And it was processed. They added some beef to it, or pork, one of the two. And I put a strip of bacon on the top, lots of good dry rub, and here it goes. So all this is like it would be ground beef, like you get hamburger meat from the store, except this is not beef. This is basically 95% good quality deer meat, and then they added just a little bit of beef fat or pork fat to it, like most of the processing plants do, because regular old deer meat with no fat is really very lean. That's trying to come apart on me. You can see it got tender. So I'm gonna finish that off, try to do that without cutting my finger off. And we'll lay this out right here and see what that looks like. I'm not being the neatest man today, but we can lay that, look at that little strips of bacon on the top. And put that like that, put that like that. Keep it going. That like that. Look at that end piece. Somebody's gonna fight over that. Put that right over the beef and a piece there. I'm gonna get this all cut up. That way it is ready to eat. Then we're gonna talk about this is when you get to eat carnivore. Carnivore is when you skip over the potatoes. You don't eat the starchy stuff, the potatoes, the beans, the corn, all the stuff that turns into sugar, starchy stuff, and it will really put the weight on you. If you're trying to gain weight, just eat you a whole lot of carbs and you will be fat in no time. So we avoid the desserts, and we make an exception every now and then. We're not purists, but this is good quality meat. It's very lean. I'm gonna make a mess on the bottom of that plate. Now watch this. This is where I'm gonna get a little bit neater. So we're gonna fan this out. I'm gonna fan it out like that. Try to stack it like a professional dealer would stack some cards. Got each one to just lay over the other a little bit like that. Man, that is some good looking. Look at that. It even made a little bark like it's kind of like a brisket. Got that little speck of bacon on the top that got brown. I gotta watch what I'm doing now. I'm starting to get fancy. Fancy pants. Okay. And then, this one has no place to be. So since that's an end piece, let's taste this. Now this is just ground up deer meat, okay? Nothing fancy here. I'm cooking it like you would a meatloaf, but there's been no onions, no breadcrumbs, no bell peppers, just deer meat, a little bit of pork fat or beef fat, whatever they choose to add, maybe a little bit of both. Wow. Now, I'll tell you, that is so delicious. That's why you see this. Because people could run through the door at any minute. They smell that smell out there. Wild dogs could come in. We had a bear come in one time. I had to scare him. Got rid of the bear. That's a little bit of a windy story, but watch this. This is the other thing. If you happen to be older and you don't have really good teeth, man, ground meat is the way to go. You get every piece of meat off that deer, the best meat you can get. Same thing with beef. You get the steaks, the roast, everything. And we got the back strap. We only lack one thing to make this perfect. Never throw your au jus, your fat, your drippings. Au jus is a French word, fancy French word, and it means the natural juices from the meat. It's not the blood. You've already drained all that out when you processed it if you did it properly. Let it hang properly and let the air cool out there in the cold winter wind. Let it drip off good. You'll have a little bit, but you wash that off right before you put your dry rub on. So look at that. That is a plate of delicious meat. I'm gonna eat these last two pieces. I want to encourage you. If you have not tried carnivore, you need to get into eating carnivore. Carnivore is eating things that come from the animal. Right here. You got my picture there? Can you see me? Okay. So you want to eat things like the meat, cheeses, eggs, some dairy products. You don't want to drink too much milk because you can get a weight gain situation drinking a lot of full milk. I love buttermilk. That's kind of my treat. You can still eat cream cheese. You can have that. You can have heavy whipping cream. Things of that nature. You just have to be a little more careful as the calories go up. But good lean meat, a little bit of fat, bacon and eggs, all that stuff. Any of your fishes, lambs, we're raising sheep right now, so looking forward to this weekend. We're getting 3 brand new female sheep to use, and they're all, I think 2 of them are of age, 2 years, 3 years, ready to have pups, so that'll be great. That is delicious. It's easy to eat. That meat like that's got iron in it. Beef even has more iron, but deer is a very clean animal. Cow's a very clean animal. And when you eat spinach, you only get about 1%, 2% of the iron. When you eat it from meat, you can get 60, 70, 80% of the iron right into your system right away. So thank you for visiting with us here at Whimsical Farm. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something new. Don't forget the good combination of putting that iron on the grill so you can protect your meat. Always save the juices in the pan. Start that off originally, and then you can switch over however you see fit. But keep the juices. Don't let the au jus, the fat drippings get away. Thanks again, and come back and visit with us on the next video. Bye for now.